My name is Emily and today I'm going to be doing a quick 10-minute video on how to make egg-free chocolate chip cookies. Let's get started! And just for the record, I'm not a certified chef, nor shall I ever be a certified chef. I'm not amazing at baking. Maybe don't copy me exactly, but also don't take your own spin, because then you end up with something really weird at the end. Okay, so today to make these chocolate chip cookies, what you're going to need is a functioning oven that can go to 180 degrees. You're going to need any sort of baking tray, but ideally one with small ripples across the surface to let adequate airflow underneath your cookies. You're also going to need a little scale to measure your goods. You're going to need some measuring spoons, just a teaspoon size, and then if you would like, it is optional, you can use a stand mixer or you can do it by hand. So in the stand mixer they usually come with some different attachments. So first there's a whisk attachment. So we use this for things like pavlova, things that need a lot of air in the mixture. The next attachment you may see is a dough hook. So this is to make things like bread. And the attachment we're going to use today is just a normal baking attachment. This is perfect for making cookies. So I'm just going to put this in here and then we'll get ready to start. There we go, good to go. So here's an overview of all our ingredients. First up, we have 250 grams of butter, 100 grams of sugar, 190 grams of condensed milk, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, 350 grams of flour, and the recipe says 210 grams of chocolate chips, but I've done 240 because we like it extra chocolate chippy. Okay, so you want to turn your oven on, and you want it on a conventional bake, and you want it on 180, okay, and I've got rapid heat up. I'm going to turn that off because you do not want it to use heaps of power. I also have my rack on the second shelf up. That's the ideal shelf for cookies. Screenshot if you want this recipe. Don't lick your sticks because you don't want your lick in your cookie. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now that I've got my stand mixer prepped is I've got a spatula here. I actually forgot to add this in the equipment you might need. You don't need it, but it's handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spatula this butter, which I've softened in the microwave, and I'm going to put it into my stand mixer. Sweet?
Yeah.
Just getting off all of the excess butter because I did measure it exactly. The next step is to add the sugar. So we've got the sugar all set up here, and we're just going to pour this in to the stand mixer. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to lower our stand mixer into here, and we're going to just start it on a slow spin to just start mixing the butter and the sugar. Eventually what we're looking for is we want to what's called cream the butter and the sugar. So that's when the sugar is dissolved in the butter and it almost looks fluffy, and when you take a little bit between your fingers you can't feel those sugar granules anymore, because if you can still feel those sugar granules you'll be able to feel them once the cookie's baked as well, and they'll become like crystals in your cookies. So it might take a while. That's why stand mixer is good. It's a lot better than doing it by hand. So I'm just going to turn this on, and it might be a little bit noisy. So we're about halfway through mixing this, and as you can see, sometimes the butter and the sugar will get stuck around the side of the bowl, which is when a spatula like this comes really in handy. And we just push, let me know if it's got it. We just push this batter mix down to the bottom so that we can kind of make sure everything is fully mixed, which is what we want, just like that. And we wipe the excess on the mixer, the mixing hook. Perfect. And off we go again. We're about halfway. We put it up a lot higher this time So now that it's blended, we're going to put it a lot higher to really start dissolving that sugar. Oh, hi there. So we finished blending the butter and sugar together. As you can see, it's gone a really like light color, more beige than a yellow. And although there are still a few granules of sugar, a lot of it's been dissolved, which is great. So we're looking at a really creamy, soft, fluffy sort of mixture here at the moment. And the next step is to add the condensed milk. So we're just going to tip all of this in at once. We aren't tasty, but we're trying. I also just want to shout out to Tyla Warrender. She's my film crew for this project. She's a real MVP here, guys. You see her around, say hi. She's fab. Even though it has raw flour, it's not much, and there's no raw egg, so I still eat it raw. Shh, don't tell anyone. The next step is to add the rest of the ingredients. So that's the flour, the baking powder, and the chocolate chip cookies. I like to add the flour first, and there is a lot of flour, and if you just tip it straight in and then turn your machine on, it's gonna go poof, and you'll be like covered in it. So what I've got here is this utensil where you pour it in, and then it covers the bowl so it doesn't poof in your face. We're just gonna put that on, like so. Also, the trick is to add it slowly, so just a little bit at a time. So I've got my flour bowl here. I'm just going to go behind me and grab a spoon, and I'll actually just be adding it spoon by spoon at a time while I've got the stand mixer running. So you just wait a second. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. It's going to be noisy. So what I'll probably do is put some, jazz music over the next part. But my great filmographer Tyla is going to show me just putting the flour in, and I'm probably going to have this on the third from the low number. So here we go.
To number 3.
Yeah. So just spoon at a time. So I'm about halfway through adding the flour. So what I'm going to do now is add the baking powder. Now the key is not to have this too high. You don't want to overbeat the flour into the cookie mixture, because then you'll be left with more like a cookie mixture. You'll be left with more like a cake mixture than a cookie mixture. That'll just like when it goes in the oven. So make sure you keep it low. This is not one that you speed up as time goes on. So just keep it going slow. And we're going to add, now we've added the baking powder, we're just going to add the rest of the flour. Okay, so this is the last addition. We've chosen milk chocolate and white chocolate. You can do any chocolate you like. We've gone for the easy drops. They keep their shape when they bake. They taste great. You can crush up Whitakers for this if you're a bit bougie. If you're a bit cheap, you could just get some of those like cooking chocolate things and just put them in the top. Any sort of chocolate. This is definitely my favourite though. Better than Nestle ones. I probably shouldn't be eating them. I'm just going to have a couple more though. So I'm literally going to add these in. Okay. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I meant to unlock it. Okay, so what I do now is I actually mix it just by hand, because you don't want to overmix the mixture. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to scrape it off the hook. I'll take the hook out because we don't need it anymore. Cool, so I've just taken this out, and this is where you can taste test, because you're not going to use this again. So you can be a little bit unhygienic, but don't be unhygienic. Still try and be hygienic. This is delicious. And this is gonna make great cookies. And if I'm not a greedy little fatty, hopefully I've brought some in for you guys. But I likely would have eaten them all, sorry.
Me too.
So I'm just gonna mix these in with my spoon. Make sure they're well dispersed throughout the mixture. And I think that looks pretty good to go. What I've noticed with my recipe today is it's a warm day and it's quite a soft recipe. If I put this straight in the oven, this cookies are going to spread quite a bit and they could burn on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it up into a roll in some Glad wrap, put it in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes, really let that butter cool and get a bit more solid in the mixture, and then I'll just cut those up and chuck them in the oven. So we'll see you soon. Okay, so as you can see, I've just made a kind of makeshift log. It's kind of a cookie shape, not really, but I'm not going to put it in the fridge for too long, so I will still be able to reshape it with my hands when I bring it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover the rest of this with Glad wrap like so, and I'll just trim that Glad wrap off. What I'm going to do is just wrap this up like so. I just roll it to make it sure it's nice and round like that, and then this is just going to go in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's my cookie sausage. It's a cookie sausage. It's a cookie sausage. Where am I going to put it? Put it in with, it's going in with the fruits and vegetables, guys, because this is my version of fruits and vegetables. So I've just washed my hands. And the oven is at temperature, so what we're going to do is we're going to do about half the dough, roll it into balls and place it on the tray, which I've got right here. So I reckon you can make your cookies any size you want. For me, it's one that kind of just fits perfectly in your palm. You can probably make it a little bit bigger if you wanted to, but that's going to make a big cookie with a lot of calories. So if we just break a bit off, make it into a ball, and then what we're going to do is we're going to place it on the tray like that, and we're just going to repeat that process. So I did just forget to say before that this has been sitting in the fridge for about 15 minutes. Me and Tyla have just been having a yarn on the couch, a little intermission, if you might say. I like to use a big dinner fork for this, so I've got like small forks in my drawer and big forks. The big forks give a nice spacing between the prongs. So now we've pressed our cookies onto the tray. This is a non-stick tray, so I didn't put butter down, flour or baking paper. We're just going to put these into the 180 degrees Celsius oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, and that gives you quite a soft cookie. If you want a more crunch to it, you can probably do about 12 to 15 minutes. Like I said earlier, we're doing it on the second shelf. So it's been 10 minutes, it's actually been 10 minutes and 40 seconds. And what I'm going to do is just bring the cookies out of the oven. I've got a hot mat over there ready for them to go on, and then when they cool down for about a minute, I'm going to put them onto a cooling rack. So here's how they're looking. So these could definitely be in for longer if you wanted them to get a bit more crispy, but I love a soft cookie. So here's my heat plate. I'm just going to place them here. And what I'm going to do is get a spatula and have these ready. Oh, they might still be a bit warm actually. Just want to try and see if I can slide one onto the cooling rack already. Perfect. Right, so this is the joy of a non-stick pan. So we've got the first batch, we're about to pull out the second. We're about to pull out the second batch. Ready? Oh, I feel like it's going to do longer.
I think so. They're looking a bit too beige.
No, that'll be fine. I do love a beige cookie. So they definitely could do probably another couple minutes, but I love my cookies soft and beige. Here is my friend Grace from Monica's egg-free cookies. I make these all the time. They're honestly the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. Here we go. Cookie cheers. It's been a great afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. And you'll see us in the next vlog soon. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloopers. Bloop, 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 bloopers. Welcome to a cooking class with me and my filmographer, Tyla. Whoa. What's a funny song to sing? I want a funny song for the blooper. I like pina coladas, getting caught in the rain. I've only got one song in my head and it's not even a good song. Oh, hi there. So we've finished. Okay, start again. You know, this is real procrastination actually because I have a lot of work I'm supposed to be doing. I've got more than one job to do here and I'm doing this instead. So, I've just washed my hands and we're not going to put that in. We got a second batch of cookies, second batch of cookies. Crab hands.